Thousands are ordered to evacuate Texas cities ahead of Hurricane Laura's arrival, and many of them are headed to San Antonio. Eyewitness News photojournalist Alan Kozlu shows us who's helping the animals that need a place to stay to.
Right now, Laura is a 140-mile-an-hour Category 4 hurricane.
As Laura looms over the Gulf.
From last time from Harvey, when we went through, we knew we didn't take no chances this time.
Cars line Texas highways full of people looking to avoid the danger of the upcoming tropical storms. But not just people.
Oh, you're Tilly.
Tilly is one of 12 animals evacuated from Beaumont Animal Services and driven nearly 300 miles to San Antonio Pets Alive.
So the Humane Society of the United States loaded up the animals at about 5 in the morning and drove to San Antonio. And they had a truck full of these really, really special animals.
Olivia Schneider with San Antonio Pets Alive says the nonprofit makes a point of being prepared to take in extra animals when hurricane risks are high.
Whenever it's hurricane season, we're always standing ready to help our friends from other areas that are being impacted by it. It's our mission to help save the lives of as many animals as we possibly can.
Some of the animals need extra medical attention, between the 12 of them, amounting to nearly $1,400.
All of the dogs are heartworm positive, which means that they need special medical treatment in order to be 100% healthy. All of the cats needed special vaccinations to get up to health.
Schneider says anyone hoping to help cover the costs can donate at sanantoniopetsalive.org/medical.
Every dollar that's raised goes directly to helping these animals get a second chance at life, and any additional funds will be used to help the thousands of animals that we save every year.
Alan Kozlu, KENS 5. Eyewitness News.